Hello world, it's me, Briar, and this is going to be kind of a weirder, shorter episode video. Because I'm gonna review House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Before I get into that, I just have to vent a little bit. Because nobody's watching my videos anyway, I feel like I'm screaming into the void. It's been a shitty... January was shitty. Pure shit. January was god-awful. And I feel like it's only gonna get worse from here. January felt like it lasted 8 years. I thought January was never gonna fucking end. And like, that's not even because it's the month before my birthday, which was yesterday. I turned 29 yesterday. I lost my job. I lost some ground in my relationship, some footing in my social circle. It's been shit. I have a job interview for David's Bridal in the next couple of days that you want me to be real with you? I don't think I'm gonna get that job. I'm an overweight, non-binary person. I was looking and feeling pretty shabby. So, I've never needed escapism more than I need it now. That's a lie. The shit I'm going through, I'm at least going through it as an adult with an understanding of certain things and a certain degree of autonomy that I didn't have as a child. So this isn't the most pressing need for escapism, but it's up there. It is up there. Okay. Anyway, we're almost 3 minutes in and I have yet to talk about this fucking book. So, right out the gate, spoilers. If you don't care about spoilers, this is your time. Or, sorry, if you do care about spoilers, this is your time to skedaddle. If you don't care about spoilers for whatever reason, hi, hello, welcome. Let's talk about it. So, I thought Sarah was gonna piss me off in this book. I was fully expecting her to actually piss me off. No, the book was good. I'd say 4 stars. Solid 4 stars. I really liked the exploration of Bryce's grief and trauma. I thought she was an incredibly compelling character. I actually do have one complaint about the book, though. Like, one major complaint that so it's Sarah J. Maas is not the only one who does this. So I'm not like hounding her for this, but it really pisses me off when a character is involved in a very impactful scene for their story. It's a very difficult struggle. And then instead of being in that character's mind when they're going through this impactful, traumatic event or dramatic event, it focuses on somebody else watching that character go through that. Have that fight, have that conflict. And it pisses me off. Like, Sarah J. Maas. So, Sarah is actually the one who handled it the best out of the 3 examples in my mind. She's actually the one who handled it the best, but it still pisses me off, you know? Like, if you're gonna switch POVs, fucking commit, bitch. Just the thought. So, like, first of all, Rick Riordan did it. with Nico, and it pissed me off because instead of having Nico being in Nico's head when Nico discovers his sexuality, that he's gay, we're in Jason's. Why the fuck are we in Jason's head when Nico's sexuality is being discussed and being confronted? I don't want to be in Jason's head. I don't care about Jason in that moment. I want to know about Nico. I want to know Nico's thought process. I want to feel that struggle with Nico because Nico's the gay guy. I'm the queer non-binary person. I want to read that scene from Nico's point of view. When Bryce is fighting the again, spoilers, because this is a big one. I just want to make sure y'all understand spoilers. So, at the end of the book, it's your time to walk away. At the end of the book, last 100 pages, Bryce is fighting Micah, and then she has to fight the Knock. And we're in Hunter's head. For most of it. Not Hunter, Hunt's. We're in Hunt's head for most of it. I don't give a shit about Hunt. I don't give half a hot diggity damn. Okay? We should spend the majority of the time. Yes, cut away to see Hunt and the like rest of the people, the council's like opinions of what's going on. Absolutely cut away a couple of times. But the vast majority of it should be from Bryce's point of view, or from I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I think Leaba sounds pretty. So either Bryce or Leaba, both of them. Like, if you wanted to have that scene through somebody's eyes, you should have prioritized Leaba's eyes watching Bryce go through this, because that would still irritate me a little bit. Like, until the moment came, the really impactful moment for Leaba's final stand. But again, most of it should have been from Bryce, in my opinion. The third example of an author doing this, his name has fled my brain, but the guy who wrote Skullduggery Pleasant, when I tell you, he pissed me off. He genuinely pissed me off. If I ever meet this man in real life, I feel like I'm gonna slap him. Just sheer principle. Okay, to get away from Earth and Blood for a second. The author of Skullduggery Pleasant series, great series, did this with Skullduggery, confronting his necromancy and what it cost him, and like his lost family and all of the shit that he did and all the people he killed and all that bullshit. We don't even see what happens because the author's focused on the fucking teleport dude. I can't remember his name. And I already was like kind of meh with this guy. Like, he was okay, but there were a lot more colorful and entertaining characters, and my favorite character was literally confronting his trauma and his past, and then he comes over and he's just like, oh yeah, it was easy, and I'm like, get the fuck out of my face. Get out of my face. Fuck you. Entirely. What? What? And that was actually my first time experiencing this kind of situation where there's a spectator of a very impactful, traumatic event. And instead of being in the head of the person going through that shit, we are in the head of a person watching that person go through that shit. I am a spectator. I don't need to hear from another one. Okay? I don't need to hear from another spectator. I am the spectator. It is me. I am thinking these thoughts. I don't need a substitute. I am present and accounted for. Why are you telling me something I could just fucking read? See, because you're talking with the spectator characters, because you're running your little lip flap. I don't know what the fuck's going on over here. Which, I mean, the guys, because I think Skullduggery was written by a guy, so the guys of the situation do a much worse job than Sarah. Sarah handles it much more competently, where we actually do get to see all of the action, all of the conversation. Like, we have all of the information. I just think had it been structured slightly different, it would have been a little bit more cohesive and enjoyable for me personally. Like, you know how Gavin Reads It All absolutely fucking hates dream sequences? That is how I am when it comes to spectator scenes. I don't give half a hot diggity damn what my other audience member over here thinks. Okay, we can get to that later. We can have a little aside. We can have a fallout, some reactions. We can, like, take a second for them to give us some spark notes of what happened in the interim while, like, the traumatized character was getting their shit absolutely rocked. So that's the main complaint, though, for this book. Otherwise, everything I think was done really, really well. This book actually gave me a couple of surprises. A lot of books don't really surprise me because I've guessed the end, or at least a lot of details and aspects of the end before I get there. But with this one, I had hunches. Like, Micah, I expected Micah was involved. I didn't expect him to be at the bottom of it. I wasn't really surprised by that, though. I was surprised by how many turns we took, like how many revelations we had about Danica and how well that story was woven. And I was so invested. Oh my God, it was so good. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. God, it was really good. I really like Danica's parts of the story. Bryce is still kind of my favorite character, but Leaba comes really, really close. I love Leaba. She was funny and cute, like, throughout the book, and then her final moment was just, it was such a heavy final moment in the best ways. Leaba's sacrifice was easily the most cinematic scene in the book, and that is even with Bryce being on her Starlight bullshit, doing the, like, portal closing and shit, and cutting through demons, and doing, like, living her best life while ending other lives. It was great. That whole sequence was awesome and definitely cinematic, but not like that. All of that, it's like Atlantis, Disney's Atlantis cinematic, where it's riveting. Like, you're in the music, you're in the shit, you're glued to the screen. It is, like, all up in your face. And it's like, I would say that Bryce going after all of the demons and making sure that she saves the human residents, that hella gave me vibes of the chase sequence at the end of the Disney's Atlantis movie. Really phenomenal scene, like, iconic. Disney's Atlantis is genuinely one of the most underappreciated movies out there. Right on par with fucking Treasure Planet. Like, oh, that was so good. But the scene where Leaba faces off against the scene where Leaba, like, breaks the knockout, That feels more like, or maybe it's Noke. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, but the scene where she breaks the water tank that she's spent half the book absolutely fucking terrified of, that's cinematic on the level of Prince of fucking Egypt when Moses like parts the sea, or when when there's just this quiet hush as the angel of death goes through Egypt, like the dread evoked in that, and the breaking the glass and whatnot. I just, oh my god, the fact that Leaba was whisked away, just washed away. You know what? I might have to read this book again. It's a heavy book. It takes a lot of, I don't know. It took a lot out of me reading it, not just because it was super thick, but also because it heavily explored trauma and absolutely refused to shy away from it. It was very real and very genuine in setting up Bryce as a character and then breaking her down and building her back up and breaking her down and building her back up again. It really demonstrated that growth and healing is not a linear journey through not just Bryce, but also through Hunt. I like Bryce more than I like Hunt, which I don't hate Hunt. I expected to hate Hunt, but I don't hate Hunt. I thought he was going to be toxic and controlling and abusive, and there were a couple moments where he was kind of an asshole, but like Bryce was able to stand up for herself and able to assert herself, and there grew a genuine mutual respect between the two of them. I actually started shipping them towards the end of the book because their interactions had gotten so cute. They had grown so connected to each other, and it was just really, really well done. I don't know how I feel about the Starlight revelation because it was hinted at. I'm not saying that it was badly done. I don't know how I feel about it. I think the main character, who you spend a lot of time in their head or following their perspective specifically, it's really hard to pull off secrets for them. Justina Ireland did it really, really well in her Dread Nation duology. I don't think Sarah hit quite that mark. I'm not going to say she did a bad job. Not by any stretch of the word. I don't know. It didn't land the way that that Justina Ireland's main character, her secret, it didn't land the way that hers did. So that could just be my personal preference. I'm not going to really say anything about the writing quality of that. So I'm going to say that this is a solid 4-star book. I really enjoyed it. It was not, honestly, it wasn't a super distraction from shit that was going down in my life at the point of reading it. A lot of aspects it reminded me of it. So maybe not the best escapism book for me personally, but there were things in it that made me think, and certain parts made me realize, like, kind of start turning the gears about some of my own experiences in my head and kind of come to new conclusions and perspectives of some of the stuff that I've been through. So a lot of people write Sarah off as a one-trick pony. I haven't read enough of her work to make my own opinion, formulate my own opinion about whether or not she's good at one thing and one thing only, which is like smut books and romance, or romantasy. I think there's a lot of nuance that people miss out on because they focus on her behavior. And I'm not saying that the behavior doesn't need to be addressed. Bad behavior absolutely needs to be addressed 100%. Toxic writing tropes and romance tropes also need to be addressed because they're very impressionable people that, for example, when I was a kid, I looked to books for an example because my home life was not great. Um, little closeted queer AFAB with a big ass loud mouth, very opinionated. In South Mississippi, Southern Baptism, South Mississippi. It could have been worse. I could have been not white, but for a white person, that's about that's about as oh no as it gets. Um could have definitely been worse though. I'm at least thankful that it wasn't worse. But I had a not functional home life. It was kind of shit, actually. Um so I looked to books for inspiration, for life lessons, for comfort that I didn't find literally anywhere else. Literally anywhere else. Again, very loud, neurospicy individual that didn't recognize their queerness, the signs of their queerness, but because they're not subtle, everybody else did. So, before I go on a tangent or just completely space out, I'm gonna be a lot more positive in reading. Like, I already made that decision. I already made the decision that I was gonna be more positive and open-minded about the books that I read because I've been in a very negative spiral for a long time. And this just goes to show for me personally that even in the Sarah J. Masses of the world, there's a lot of value to be had in books, and that is not exclusive to books. There's a lot of value to be had in any story of any medium. I mean, tons of people have talked about how impactful Astarion and Shadowheart stories in Baldur's Gate are. I've talked about how impactful Lan from Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous was for me on my Reddit account. And those are video games. If we're talking about TV shows, I mean, there's Amphibia, Gravity Falls, The Owl House, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Young Sheldon, tons of anime, Hunter x Hunter, Bleach, Naruto at a lot of moments, even though it dropped the ball on a lot of others. But Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, like these stories at whatever varying qualities, because quality is subjective. This is all opinion. But these stories, regardless of where they come from or what media they're in, I really do personally feel like stories are the best of human nature. And even though, or if not the best, stories are the most all-encompassing demonstration of human nature. I feel like stories and storytelling is what defines humans as humans. And there's a lot of value to be found in stories, both good and bad, because again, quality is subjective. In a lot of cases, I feel like there are some objectively good things out there, like the Miles Morales Spider movies. those movies are flawless. They are perfect, and I don't say that about a lot of things. Megamind. Megamind is a truly peak flawless movie. I'm extremely biased because that's my favorite fucking movie. I think Atlantis: The Lost Empire is a perfect movie. That's totally not because I always envisioned myself as Milo, marrying Kita and being nerdy and a little bookworm. Milo is my favorite Disney character, Milo Thatch. I was actually gonna at one point I think I was actually gonna have Thatch as my middle name. I think I'm gonna go back to Thatch being my middle name. Because Disney, I got a lot of opinions on Disney. We're not gonna get into it. But Milo is still one of the most impactful characters for me because he was kind of the first character that I felt like, oh, that is me. Except for like one or two aspects, but that is 100% me. I've never identified with a character as much as I did Milo. And I still kind of don't. I don't think there's another character I see myself as so clearly as Milo. But I'm off on a tangent. I'm gonna go before I get too further into this. I still got some cleaning and packing to do. Anyway, long story short, if you're here this long, thank you for sticking around. Briar's gonna go.